Hello and welcome to your tutorial on how to set up students in your teacher profile of Unique Learning Systems. So if you see my homepage right now, you are able to see that I am in the teacher dashboard. And you can get to that teacher dashboard anytime by clicking on the hamburger, clicking on the Unique Learning Systems button, and clicking on Home Teacher Dashboard. It's going to take you right to this page. All right, so right now I only have sample students set up, and he's currently on an intermediate plan. So I'm going to come to my students, and we're going to take a walk through how to set up my sample students learning profile. So when I go to my students, I see right there my only student, sample student, I'll sample, and it says that student dashboard setup is 2 out of 5 steps complete. 2 out of 5 steps complete. Okay, so you want to make sure that all of these steps are complete. Let's look over what we've already done. We did the student solution access. We did the student login. We haven't done this login. We haven't done the assignments. We selected the differentiated level, but we haven't done the reading level. So what we're going to do is start off with student access. And I know it has a green check mark, but for the intents and purposes of this, we're going to pretend it doesn't. So this is what your student has access to, right? If you have the full suite of Unique Learning Systems, which you do, checking these or unchecking these is going to give the student access to those things. So you might not want the student to have access to positivity or L3 life skills. Maybe that's just not something you're working on with them. You might not also want them to have access to symbol sticks prime. You may want, when they go into their profile, for them to have 2 options: Unique Learning Systems and News to You. Personally, I am going to click positivity and life skills and symbol sticks prime, so that when we go into the student profile and we look at that student profile, we can explore those different things. But just know, if you unselect any of these, they're not going to be able to see that button on their student profile. All right, so we're going to save that. And then we're going to go to student login. You can set up the student login here. And this is really up to you. So you can either disable all login types for the students. You don't want them to be able to log in. That's not something that you're going to be using this tool for. You can do QR code login, or you can enable a simple password for them. So let's enable a simple password for this student. All right, I am going to make, oh, it doesn't let you edit it anymore. Hold on. Let me see. Student login. Let's clear that password. Okay, see where it says auto-generated password? That's where I made a mistake. Unclick that. Unless you really want an auto-generated password, I do not. I want my student, oh my gosh, you can see all of the logins that I've done. I want my student's password to be Tigers1. Tigers1. All right, something easy for logging in. It could also be their student ID. I mean, you can pick a password for your kids. And so I am going to save that password, and I am going to enable that. Save. So now when the student is accessing Unique Learning Systems from their point of view, from the student profile, that is the password that they're going to use to get into the system. All right. I'm going to close this. It's going to bring me back to the dashboard. Okay, good. Now I have 3 out of 5 steps complete. Let's see what that third step is. Okay, so assignments. Choose a content type. You're going to see in here a bunch of different options for them, right? You can assign them benchmarks. You can assign them courses. You can assign them checkpoints. Or you can just assign them books. This is what they are going to see on their student profile. So if you're in a situation where you want your students to be taking the benchmarks or the checkpoints on their own device using the student profile, the student sign-in, then you are going to need to assign those checkpoints to the student. Let's use that as an example. So let's say we are going to do a checkpoint for Unit 4. This is what we're working on. This is what I want them to do a checkpoint for, and I want them to do a checkpoint in reading. I'm going to add that. Next, assign it to them. Now when your student goes into their view of the profile, they are going to see this assignment has been given to them, right? So that's one way to do that. You can do an end date and a start date, like when it expires for them to be allowed to take it. That is all up to you. All right, so that's how you assign assignments. And I mean, you can do that for everything. You can assign books if you want them to read at home and access their profile at home. Assign all your data pieces if you want them to be working on that independently or individually. That is up to you. So that's how you assign assignments. It's not going to take this little triangle away until you assign content assignments. You might have that little triangle the entire time that you are using ULS because you may be doing all of the data collection in your teacher dashboard. So that triangle may never go away. The next thing we're going to talk about is ULS's differentiated levels. This is really important. This is very important. So the differentiated levels are used to determine how ULS materials are adapted per student. So, and we'll go over that a little bit. They have the different differentiated levels. Level 1 is the student requires maximum support. For us, in our setting, typically you're going to find that a student requires maximum support, right? Level 2 is that the student requires picture support and other direct supports in learning of demonstration skills. You're going to find that a lot of students do fall into that level 2 category. Now, level 3 is students typically are reading or have the potential to learn a read text and independently demonstrate comprehension of learning information within the modified content. You are going to have some students that are at that level 3. You are going to select that level of support. So sample student for me is going to be at that level 1 maximum support. The reason this is important is you're going to set that level, and then you're going to notice that their content is geared toward that level. If you pick level 3, you're going to notice that your checkpoints, your content, your date, like everything, your benchmarks, it is going to be adjusted for a level 3 student. If it's a level 2 student, all that stuff is going to be adjusted as well. And you're going to see the difference when you're accessing things through the student profiles. So I'm going to set their level as level 1, maximum support. I mean, for example, if you were to assign a News to You article to this student specifically on their profile, when they go to access that article, it is going to be given to them in level 1 because that is the level that you've assigned them on the dashboard. And next, we're going to get our ULS reading level. All right, so if you need to learn more about the reading levels, you can click on this Learn More button, and it will bring you to this document. This is a great document. I highly recommend reading through this document because you may think that your student is at a certain level, and they may not be at that level based on ULS. You may have in your mind, let's say you did reading A to Z, and your student was always an A level. A level on reading A to Z looks very different than A level on ULS. So it's important to read their parameters for the different levels when you're trying to decide if it fits your student. So this gives like a little description, and you find the one that best fits your student. And then that's how you determine their reading level. So for me, I'm going to put my student at a reading level B. Which focuses on a single idea, simple storyline, direct links between text and illustrations. These are all things that my hypothetical student, they describe them. Also, my hypothetical student, you have to remember, is their differentiation level is 1. So they're still going to be receiving adapted text with those picture supports, and also the assumption that they are going to be read aloud a lot of the text, but they're not at a frustration level of B. So B is where they are at as far as their ability to perform skills. So set those levels. All right, let's add an assignment here just to get this to go away so that we can have 5 out of 5. All right, so if I add a level book or read aloud, next. then it's going to take you to the page where you can add the due date for it, when you want them to work on it until. For me, it really just depends. This is something that is up to your discretion. For me, I'm assigning a read aloud. I really only want them to have a month to do it, and then I want it to disappear off their profile, right? Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I'm learning this when I'm looking at it. So this content is actually expiring on 7/30. So the furthest I can put the end date is 7/30. This is not a problem you're going to run into when you're assigning things at the beginning of the month for your students. It's going to last the whole month. These things do roll off. They're not accessible the entire time. So keep that in mind when you're assigning activities for your student, that they do have expiration dates and they're not on here for infinity. All right, and you're going to close that. And there you go. So at any time you can come in here and you can see their progress on their activities. If on their end, let's look at their end. So this is going to show us the student profile. This is what they see. So they're going to see something like this where they can read through the story. They're reading through the story on their student profile end. They're reading it. It's going to have the option for speaking.
Lucas goes to sports camp.
It's going to have the option for annotating. It's going to have zooming options. And that's the content that they are going to be looking at on their end. And on your end, you're going to see if they've started it. You're going to see if they have even opened it. You're going to know if they've done that by just looking at this student profile. And it's also going to show the results here. So the results for a read aloud are going to be complete or not complete, right? Especially if they're doing it away from you. But the results for a checkpoint are actually going to show like a score. Or a vocabulary activity. It's going to actually give you a score that you can keep track of in here in the student profile. All right, and then if you want to go back to the main page with all your students, you just press that little X in the corner and it brings you back here. All right, so I hope that was helpful. Those are the ways that you set up your student profile in ULS via your teacher dashboard. Thank you so much.